Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the full Pelt Music Podcast. Shortly, we'll be chatting with Deux Furieuses, who will be releasing their third album, Songs from Planet Earth, on November the 11th. But before then, the usual reminders from myself. If you would, please do follow us on social media. We are on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you're watching or listening. Well, welcome to Roz and Vaz, who together are Deux Furieuses, to the Full Pelt Music Podcast. Absolutely delighted to have you on. How are you?
We're very good.
We're very well, thank you.
We're just back from rehearsing.
Yeah, just
having
a lager and chilling out now.
Having a wee lager.
Oh, delightful. I'm sadly just on the water myself, but of course you obviously have a lot to rehearse for. You have a lot coming up, and we'll get into the meatier aspects of your new third album that's coming out in just a moment. But you know, recently you've been out on the road with Bricksmith, both as a support act and playing in the band. Yeah, what was that experience like for you?
It was great. It was brilliant. I mean, it was another level for us, seeing the other side of the music industry, supporting Pill and Killing Joke. It was just amazing. It was like, it's just fantastic. Playing to big audiences every night.
In those kind of historic venues as well. It was brilliant. And also the having a nice van side of things.
Yeah.
And nice hotels
and
crew,
a tour manager,
and obviously the whole gang, Bricks and Deb Googe and Jen, and
they're fantastic. Yeah. So it's a really nice group to be working with.
Yeah,
and having fun with, and just kind of enjoying it. And we hadn't done that much. We'd done a couple of things with Frank Turner that were quite big. So we hadn't done nothing that was big. We'd been through the kind of really scary thing the first time we played the Roundhouse.
Yeah.
So we knew we wouldn't freak, because I could have maybe freaked at that point.
Yeah.
we'd get through it. And Deb Googe was a bit like, have you played a big venue before, Ross? I remember just before we played the Hammersmith Apollo show, she was like, I said, yeah. Totally, I'm all over it, no worries. And then you walk out, you're like, whoa. This is scary. But a great experience. And then we got to actually support her as Deux Furieuses, so that meant we got to play as well. And we did that at the Lexington just last month. So that was quite a lot. Wasn't it?
No, it's great. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I love that you use the word fun, because ultimately that's what it should be about as musicians. It is a tough industry, a difficult industry to navigate, but ultimately you want to be able to have fun, don't you? Which is great to hear. And obviously, Hammersmith Apollo, just a legendary venue to get to play as well.
It was really special. I mean, the sound check was really special. We managed to kind of acclimatise with a nice big long sound check, because Bricks has been working with youth, so he's been producing her new album. So she was a special guest, so it wasn't just like any old support band and you're on and off. We got to have a good long sound check, and then a proper main support slot.
And everyone was welcoming, Johnny Lydon and all the Killing Joke, youth and jazz. They're all just really welcoming, and they were really lovely.
The guys in Public Image Limited as well were watching us, in the Bricks band from the side of the stage, so that they were lovely as well. We never spoke to John Lydon.
And we'd be watching their sound checks every day. Like, wow,
the sound checks were fantastic. Yeah. He wasn't there. Was he?
Well,
but he wasn't doing them, but they were fantastic. The big famous ones.
Yeah, and you talk about watching the sound checks, and obviously keeping a keen eye on the acts of this kind of stature. Are you still at this stage looking to learn from these experiences, and obviously translate what you see and try and bring it into your work?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean you never stop learning, really. You never stop learning.
But I think if you've not succeeded, got far on in the music business early on, and you've gone a long time playing small venues like we have, it can maybe stunt you in a bit. It can stunt your creativity or your ability to try all sorts, because you're playing really crappy situations all the time, and you'd start reducing. Let's do this, it makes it easier. Let's not take this. Let's play the simplest songs. Let's keep it all up and energized. Let's not try and do anything in any way that will be a problem. And then it's good to have the freedom to try and do a bit more with your set, because you've got a good sound.
Yeah, if you've got a sound engineer, if you've got the luxury of a sound engineer and a monitor engineer, and you can experiment more. You've got a safety net, whereas as a two-piece, just us two on a small stage, you don't have that safety net.
We are like walking on a high wire. There's absolutely no room for kind of like making huge mistakes or losing it.
And there's a lot that can be said for having big productions and the luxuries, as you say, of sound technicians and all that. But ultimately, as a punk band, just being able to go out there and be yourselves is in many ways for a fan watching just as fantastic an experience.
That's true. But I think we've also learned from playing to large audiences, and there's something special there about reaching a lot of people and having that mass communal experience where people are more prepared to let go than if they're just kind of standing around feeling inhibited. If you can get past the point of everyone being like standing with their beer, if you can get everyone going, I mean, I love that. And we've increasingly become wanting to use the audience as part of our little band to get them and give something to them. It's not such a egotistical thing anymore for us. It's more about, we're here to kind of serve you and play the music for you so you can have a fantastic time. And when you begin, you're a bit more this is my precious thing.
Music is communal, isn't it? Especially on the live side of things, it's about bringing people together. And of course, it's great in whatever size venue you're in. So excellent.
Deliver that, and we got it from Modern Woman as well. We did a tour with them in August, and wow, every single night they go out and absolutely, no matter what venue we were in, and they were quite different. They would full on delivering. What a performance! People came away from that, they'd been through something. So we learned from that as well.
No, certainly another incredible band that you've had the privilege of touring with. And we're going to touch a bit more on the live side coming up, and some more incredible bands that you're going to be touring with. But before then, we'll dive into album number 3, Songs from Planet Earth, out November the 11th. So of course, listeners need to make sure they check that out. Either stream it or preferably purchase it, would of course be nice. So we'll start off with Know the Score, which was one of the lead singles that came out from the album. Of course, really important message behind the song. So I just wanted to ask you, to just, for those listeners that perhaps tuning in out of just pure curiosity, don't know much about the band, of course, very rightfully so, political kind of band, obviously, and we'll touch on another single in just a moment that really goes down that avenue. But of course, Know the Score. What can you expand upon with the themes of that song? And the main question really is, of course, and the answer hopefully will be obvious for everyone listening, but why is it so important for you to talk about such things?
It's our lived experience, and we don't generally hear people like us in our culture saying what they think. So we always wanted to be in a band that said what it felt like to be women like us growing up. And the song's chorus is, every girl grows into a woman who knows the score. And it actually came about after the Sarah Everard murder at the end of the 3rd lockdown, which felt like such a betrayal because of the police officer involved. Apart from anything else, it was a real visceral moment, and we both reacted like that. We were texting each other going, you watching this vigil, you're watching what's going on here. And we all felt it could have been any of us, and we'd all been in those situations walking home. Your question, I mean, we have to. There's no choice, I think, for us but to talk about these things, what's going on and how we feel about it. If it wasn't happening, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's happening, and we'll keep talking about it. And I mean, the song led to us researching an organisation called Counting Dead Women, and they're on Twitter, and I don't know what the number is now. This year, since January, are we 80?
Yeah, when we released the song, I think it was about 30, and then by now it's now 80.
Every gig we
80.
played, we were updating the number,
Yeah.
and now it's
Like
in the
2
80s,
women a week being murdered,
in
killed.
this country at the hands of men that they can verify.
Yeah,
and they're just counting this.
And then you watch what's going on in Iran with the young girls protesting, and being battered and beaten, and then it's like, we can't really stay silent. I mean, you have to. The more we talk about it and raise awareness,
I mean, this is quite a privileged feminism where we're in absolutely no danger.
Well, yeah. But what do we do? Not talk about it at all, or spread the message?
Well, we are in danger, because actually that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Any of us are in danger. We're not in danger from.
I mean, most women we know, they'll
protesting.
You still worry about coming home late at night or holding,
so I
having
mean,
your keys clutched in your fist. And it's still not. You still don't feel completely free. Will we ever feel free? I don't know.
Well, we realised around that time that it's very internalised growing up. This threat that you're told as teenagers, well, you need to get a taxi home. You can't walk. Well, it's fine for your brother, but he's your brother. He's like, but my brother's he's all right. It's you that's not all right, and you need to do this. And
the mixed messages you get, are you going to dress up? Oh, you don't want to.
Well, you're going to put some lipstick on. You can't go out without some lipstick on. But don't come home unless you're in a taxi with another person, But look a bit sexier, So you grow up with that, and we internalize it. It's quite pressured. You need to be looking attractive enough, sexy enough to have the society approve of you, and then you also need to be watching out because society will have a go at you. So all of that, we've always been going on about this in songs, but that was a moment. And it was about knowing the score. We all grow up, we go from girls to women, knowing this score. And it felt so strongly that the change needs to be not that we all adapt. The change needs to be that we don't feel this.
Exactly.
We're not in this situation. And it needs to be men, really, that make this change.
Yeah, definitely.
So we just sang "Say Her Name, Say Her Name, Say Her Name" at the end of the song, because it's more than Sarah Everard. It's all women.
Yeah.
And because there'll be more of them next year.
Sadly, yeah.
Sadly.
They will. Yeah.
Saying her name, saying her name, saying her name. When we ask people to sing it with us, and we just feel that music and art is about changing the culture. If we're not saying anything that's news to anyone probably that comes in our audience, people all know this, but it's, can we talk about it? Can we have a connection that we go away strengthened to not put up with it? And that's how culture changes. I think you have to keep spreading it out.
That is how culture changes. And speaking as the man in the proverbial room, it is it's appalling. I'm married, and my wife will go through obviously all of this, and I think we're all learning. Supposedly we're in a civilized society. I think obviously we're quite far from that personally, and need to strive to improve that. And for men, just calling out your friends for their behaviour if it's not appropriate. Little things that quite often in the past would get passed off as banter or horseplay or whatever. It's not, a lot of it's not acceptable, and you are accountable as a male, and you need to call that out, in my opinion. And I applaud any band that is willing to talk about any difficult subject in their music. I wouldn't, of course, say controversial subject on this song, of course, because it's something that surely everyone should agree on. But some of the other political elements, obviously the next song I was going to touch on is Bring Down the Government. Not exactly ambiguous with obviously the tones of the song. And a lot of music, even punk music, which has always been anti-establishment. A lot of punk musicians these days, almost because the industry is so difficult, my opinion of it, and I don't know whether you would agree, is they shy away from the subjects that may turn elements of their fans away, because hey, we need those followers, we need to sell those tickets, so actually let's just be reserved in what we talk about. So I think it's very brave for any band to talk about the subjects that you've covered throughout your whole career, and certainly on this album. So I applaud you for that.
That's one of the advantages of not being huge and having
we felt quite we did get told by a publishing company, A&R, once to
not be so political, not be so feminist,
less of the feminism.
Wow.
And could we be sexier? We did of that.
Yeah, we did, but that's the one
we ignored that. In fact, that spurred us on. We just went further.
Good.
At one point, this is our life. We're not just doing it to be successful or to, I don't know, we're just doing it because we love what we do, and it's a way for us to express ourselves, and part of expressing ourselves is our opinions.
Ourselves when we do this. We feel free, we feel like who we are. We're not fitting in or trying to be a role, and that's fantastic. And we haven't really succeeded, but we're leaving a body of work, we're doing our thing, and we feel good when we do it. So
and we haven't compromised.
We haven't.
So.
Yeah, and nor should you have to.
Some records as well.
Yeah.
XML listening and just myself.
It is certainly always nice to sell those records. And again, listeners, physical records obviously would be nice. Bandcamp, through the band's website, there's some nice bundles and everything, obviously, with the album release, and listeners can follow the links in the bio of the podcast to get through and purchase those. Bring Down the Government. I note as well with my research that actually the release of that song was quite fitting, because I believe around that time a certain buffoon decided to leave his job. I mean, what songs do we need from you now?
I know, and we feel like we're bringing down prime ministers, but not the government.
Yes.
But we're getting there.
I think they're doing a pretty good job of bringing themselves down, to be fair.
They are. They're not much. That was basically coming out of the pandemic and just real anger. And it's kind of like, it was okay. The chorus wasn't remotely subtle. It was bring down the government. The verses were about the pandemic and coming out of it, and wanting the COVID inquiry. We need a reckoning for all the lives is... in verse 2, and we did the promo around the COVID memorial wall with all the hearts, which was quite moving to see such length of that.
Yeah, certainly. Obviously, the pandemic has affected everyone, and that can it keeps getting kicked down the line of the inquiry around it. It
was the people that were just voted in because they were promising to get Brexit done. That was it. Those were the people that we ended up having one of the worst crises of the century, with them leading us. It was unbelievable. And I don't want to get into it, but I mean, I lost somebody in a nursing home, and so it got very personal, this mismanagement of that.
Yeah, no, certainly. And obviously, sorry for your loss, and hopefully there will be some accountability down the line. We can only hope and pray on that one. So, swinging it back round, let's cheer ourselves up.
Yeah.
Songs from Planet Earth is out.
It's a lovely album.
Yeah.
It is. I was hoping to be kind of optimistic with it. I was looking for that, but it wasn't. It's not a battering you over the head kind of album. The subject is all written in that time, and it's such a dark, it was such an intense period of our lives that felt like it wasn't ending, didn't it, for a lot of it. I think the previous album's darker musically and more punishing than this one. I didn't think we needed to do that with the music. The music is more open and reaching for, strength and energy from other people. I mean, I don't think it's such a brutal listen.
No, yeah, I could see that. So we'll be having our review up on
where you're coming from. I
So-
mean, if you listen to the second one, it's like,
oh yeah, we'll have our review up on the website
Yeah.
this week. It's a very, very good album, and the obviously listeners definitely need to check it out and to drill at home, purchase it preferably. So for those inquisitive minds that have stumbled across the Full Pelt Music Deux Furieuses podcast on YouTube or wherever you're listening across the streaming sites, how would you describe in general, obviously, songs from Planet Earth for someone perhaps new to the band completely? You know, how would you sell that album to them?
Well, you wrote the songs.
I'm looking at them here. There's a list of them on our whiteboard here because we worked on them here. I think there's a lot about there's more about the natural world. There's more about the landscape that I find myself in, having moved from the city to the countryside, and not, from a ground floor flat in London with a neighbour that wouldn't tolerate an acoustic guitar from the first lockdown, out to a cottage surrounded by fields and animals. That was a big change. And so the songs were written there. And there's new politics. There's an awareness of the fact that we're going to lose what was for me a sanctuary, but also actually was a sanctuary in Anglo-Saxon times. It was a sanctuary from the earliest centuries and only farmed in the 19th century. And I'm in an old woods. So I found it quite a special place, and I wrote songs from there. And then I worked on them with Baz. And I'm looking for hope and optimism with the red kites in the sky and this wonderful countryside that is, you go, this is fantastic, and then you go, wait a minute, this is going, we're losing this. So there's more politics to be found in the countryside. And but Baz was ahead of me on this. She knew all this anyway, didn't you?
Well, I live in quite a built-up area. I live on a really busy main road, but I've decided my garden at the front is the only one that's not concreted over, or it's not
on the
parking.
whole street. It's
Wow.
a wee oasis.
So I've just got hedges, and all the sparrows have come there and nested.
You hear all the
there,
birds. You walk down the street and you hear the birds. It's Baz's house.
all the delivery people are like, oh, and they sort of are shocked, and I'm thinking, well, everybody could do this, but I don't know why they're just concreting over everything. And it does upset me when we know what's happening with the climate. We know that we need trees. We know we need to look after our green spaces, and yet people are more concerned about not cleaning or picking up leaves and artificial lawns, and everything's becoming so clinical.
Which is, I think, why they're not going to hold the leaders to account on the climate crisis, because we've lost the connection anyway. We don't notice it or kind of care. If more people had that connection, they'd be angrier about this. We just don't want the disruption of the protests. When we're passing the point of no return. So I mean, I think we got political in this respect, which we're late to, but I have suddenly become more aware of it, and I think it's a hopeful album. Did you not think?
Yeah, no, and that's really important as well, because it's a relatable album. Because we've all lived through, the same experiences you talk of now, but we obviously we need that hope. So to have obviously have that in there, this just makes it more enjoyable, I guess. Thematically at least. Anyway, obviously the music's very enjoyable. But yeah,
it's the lyrics have changed. I'd say that there's more awareness of an environment of where I am. I think it's a more personal album. So I think musically we're still guitar and drums, and we've always worked at trying to bring in textures in the studio. We've never, all three albums we've been concerned with that. We've been produced by Rob Ellis on the first two from PG Harvey, and we've learned a lot from him. So this album, we produced it along with Izzy in the studio, Grange Farm studio. She helped, and she got really into it. And so we play live, and then we try and get in little textures to keep you listening to, so you can go back and there's depth to it, because what we do live just isn't enough in the studio, really. There's no bass, obviously, and it's just
percussion,
Vaz adds percussion, which is great. Like at the end of all we need is Sanctuary. There's great timpani and gong chimes, and it's just really ringing and makes me feel, of the kind of old Anglo-Saxons coming home from their long day kind of in the woods. I was hearing all these things. It's not what she meant, but it's what I was hearing. I was getting the sense of this old Sanctuary from what she played. And on isolation days, we've got a very, very quiet siren building all the way through the track. And by the end, you hear a lot of the siren. And that is just trying to bring out the impressions of the time, which was, I'm singing, I hear no sirens calling, because nothing had changed. It felt like nothing would change. It was just this weird sense of there's going to be something happening to my life, and I don't know what it is yet. Everything's perfect. It's a perfect spring, March 2020. And then, somebody died, and then we moved, and then everything has changed for me anyway. So it's just like a diary.
Yeah.
Really.
And you must obviously be, proud of it and excited to get it out there. We're excited.
We're proud that we produced it ourselves. It was quite nervous. We were quite nervous going to the studio
because we hadn't gigged, so that's a difference.
Yeah, we hadn't. Also, I caught COVID, and we didn't have enough time to prep. So when we went into the studio, I was quite underprepared, which I don't like to be. So I'm happy with how it's turned out, and I'm proud of it.
But we don't think it's perfect.
No.
And it's been interesting. And Rob said to us, it's good you produce yourselves. You'll learn from that.
Yeah.
And we've realised some of what we didn't get, and we might have another crack at it. Producing it. There's quite hard to produce yourself. You're playing.
Yeah. And
can you stand outside of that and look at that performance and go, can you do that again with more such and such? You just tend to go, no, that was great. I'm done. That's me finished. I think that was perfect. What do you think? Yeah, that was great.
That was
On to the next one.
It was 10 days. I think ideally you need a couple, 14 days or 20 days, and then you can really sort of have a day off and absorb it and listen back. We didn't have time to listen. It's always a problem, you don't have time to listen back.
Yeah, and that thing, you can just do it again. 3 days later, can you go back and do that one again? There's no time. I mean, I don't think people do it much these days, go into a residential situation.
Not so much.
We did it twice with Rob, just to have that start and stop time, really, just to, it's almost like it's not a performance, but it's the people come together, they work on it, it's very intense, and then that's it, you're done.
The focus of it, it just makes you focus on it.
Focus. It's the focus of it. We don't go to, you come away, you have tea, and you go back and do more.
I love being in a residential place. I think if you're working on something at home, you could the tendency would be just work on it for months and months and months and just re-record it. But then you've got your 10 days and that's it. You've got to do it.
But then you can go, God, I wish I'd done that better. But it's a kind of record of a record. So.
And it is out, as I say, on November the 11th. Listeners, again, need to check that one out. And if they enjoy it, November the 18th, you have an album launch show at a venue you mentioned earlier, the Lexington in London. Great little venue. So you've got a really good lineup on that bill as well. So you must be looking forward to that. And why should, again, listeners come along and check out that show?
Well, we've got some great guests playing with us. Today we were rehearsing with Deb Googe from My Bloody Valentine. She's playing a couple of songs with us, actually 3 songs with us. So that was really...
She's doing 3 songs.
That was weird, being in the same rehearsal with her. I just still can't, even though we've played with her and gone on the road with her, I still can't.
We've done Bricks work with her, but to have her just come and work on our stuff was special. And we love her, she's fantastic.
And Bricks herself is going to make a special appearance, do some backing vocals, and Jen from Hurtling. And then we've also got
Jen, that's in the Bricks band.
And My Bloody Valentine.
And My Bloody Valentine has her own band, Hurtling, and they're the main support. So that was fantastic. And before then, we've got Where We Sleep with Beth Rettig and Debbie Smith in the band as well. So it's a load of cracking female musicians are going to be playing. And I think we're all going to get together as well during our set at the end and stuff. So,
and there'll be cake.
And there will be cake.
Oh, wow. There you go, listeners. Certainly, cake and incredible music. What more could anyone want? So, the Lexington in London, November the 18th. Obviously, please, if you can, pick up a ticket and go along to the show. If you cannot, there's another opportunity to catch you pretty much straight away afterwards. You've got a number of shows lined up with another great band who we've had on this podcast quite a while back now, Skinny Lister. Obviously,
Really
always a great night with Skinny Lister, and obviously it's going to be doubly as great with Deux Furieuses on there as well. So again, you must be really excited for that one.
I think that'll be, we'll have done our album release, we've done our album launch, then we're going to party with Skinny Lister.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
The first one's in Bournemouth, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then Nottingham.
23rd. Is that right?
Yeah. Nottingham. And what are the other two? We should know.
Milton Keynes, I believe, maybe one.
Milton Keynes and Crawford Arms. Where's that?
Milton Keynes.
That's the Milton Keynes one. Okay, well, there's one more.
Nottingham Rescue Room.
Yeah. It's all on the website anyway. Sorry.
It is.
On our website.
Yeah, listeners, it is on our website, and you can obviously click on the link in the bio of the podcast to get to the website to check out where the band are playing. Another way to do so, we've reached the portion of the podcast where I highlight for everyone your social media handles, because of course that's how we all stay in touch with each other these days. And yours I love, because it makes my life easier when the band has the same handle for all of the different social media channels, and it's even easier when it's actually the band's name. So again, the links will be in the bio. It's Deux Furieuses, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. That's how I say it in my head.
Anyway, yeah, but it doesn't. You don't pronounce the last S. It's Deux Furieuses.
The Furious.
Yeah.
There we go.
I say Glaswegian, so she's
whatever works.
Whatever you like.
Yeah, exactly. It's one for the listeners to decide on, but it's spelt the same way regardless. It's in the link in the bio, and obviously listeners can come through to the social media channels. So you've mentioned quite a few really great independent music venues: Crawford Arms, Rescue Rooms, Lexington. We've got Independent Venue Week coming up. So at the moment, we're asking all of the artists that feature on our various podcasts just to give a shout out to the music venue, independent venue that they would just like to put the spotlight on. And there may be more than one, so don't feel you have to be limited to one. But we're going to put a little package together around the release or around the time of Independent Venue Week. So, who would you like to give this shout out to?
Well, I was thinking of Le Pub, but I think they've already
They've
won.
probably
They've already won that
One of our
award.
favourites is Le Pub. Yeah,
they do.
But we played the lovely. What was the one
burger.
we played with War on Women?
Vegan burger
Upstairs at oh god, was it Derby or was it Leicester? Oh, I can't remember now.
We did a lot of great wee venues with the War on Women tour.
Yeah.
Which one?
The one upstairs.
What city?
Oh, I can't remember. I should have written it.
What was the tiny venue we played?
It's Paradiddles.
Paradiddles.
Yeah.
Not heard of that one.
We can only say one, can we? Or Paradiddles was the smallest venue we've ever played. I don't know how War on Women did it, but
They couldn't get the whole band on the stage.
Yeah, it was like
all you could have on the stage was the drum kit.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was the narrowest, smallest room.
But it was a great night still.
It was a great night. It was packed,
Yeah.
but people were coming in and out, and the outside was packed, and because the actual venue was minute, it was the smallest room.
So who are we going for then? It's only one we're allowed, isn't it?
You can give multiple if you've got multiple that if you can't decide, because there are so many great independent venues out there.
Yeah, well, we've always had good gigs at the Lexington, so we have to say the Lexington.
Well, we've been there.
Le Pub.
This is our third time this year because we did War on Women, and then we did Bricks, and now we're doing our own gigs. We seem to have moved in.
The pub in Newport always. Sam always looks after all the bands.
Yeah,
and it's been brilliant. So
we always look forward to Le Pub.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Where would we be without these great independent venues? Everyone's struggling at the moment, of course, cost of living, etc., etc. But the ecosystem of the music industry relies on these venues. Hopefully, listeners, when they get to hear all these names, they'll pop along and check some of them out. That's the aim of it, anyway. So, speaking of popping along, checking out. You may not be able to announce anything just yet for various reasons, but obviously if fans can't pop along to any of the shows we've just mentioned, can they expect obviously an opportunity to catch you on the road in the new year, perhaps?
Well, that's the plan. I mean, we want to get out as much as possible. We can't announce anything yet, but just keep an eye on the socials, and
we've been very keen to support people and get around the country. It's obviously a difficult thing to do at the moment to have gigs booked and have them not cancelled due to poor advance sales. It's difficult for everybody, and that's why I think there's a lot of people trying to get supports with whoever can work it.
Yeah.
Because it's very difficult. Warren Women found it difficult, and so there's a few things in the offing that we're hoping that we'll get.
Excellent. Well, it's all about those social handles, listeners, as we say. Obviously, make sure you follow the band so you can stay up to date with everything coming from them. And obviously, check out Songs from Planet Earth on November the 11th. Thank you both for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. We've really enjoyed the album. Again, encourage listeners to check that one out. What would be your final message today for the people listening to the podcast?
What you just said earlier, actually, I think it's really important what you're doing, podcasts like yourself, encouraging people to go out. I think maybe we got kind of into the habit of staying in during COVID and not making, I mean, I know everyone's skint at the moment, but it's such a different experience when you go and watch live music, however good an album is or however good a video is or whatever. Go out and connect with the bands, listen to it.
So energizing, the experience, it's like emotionally energizing. You feel
and you connect with we connect with the people that come. They become friends, and we could be stronger together, can't you?
To talk to people, and it's in danger.
It's in danger. So just get out there and watch.
Kind of have to fight for it a wee bit at the moment, and
don't watch these tribute bands actually.
All tribute bands.
It's like all these cover bands and tribute bands, and I just don't see the point of them. I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody, but
no, I do agree with you on that.
Go and support original music.
The music that they are covering was once original music that people supported, so let's get back to that, to being creative.
Get out of your comfort zone a bit and go and see what you can discover. There's so many good bands, and so many great venues. Go out and support them.
Yeah, excellent. I can't think of a better final message other than, again, to drill at home, Songs from Planet Earth, November the 11th. Everyone, please do check that one out. Well, thank you everyone for listening. I really do hope you enjoyed that chat there with Deux Furieuses. Make sure you check out their album, Songs from Planet Earth, out on November the 11th. And of course, follow the band on social media. You can also follow Full Pelt on social media. We're on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And finally, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you're watching or listening. And we'll be back very soon for another episode of the Full Pelt Music Podcast.